Boom. Hello, and welcome to the Rock and Roll Podcast. I am your host, John Harris. On my right-hand side is my right-hand man, Gabriel.
What?
And today on the Rock and Roll Podcast, we have in Vertigo, who has a new EP called Sex, Love, and Chaos, which was released on July 16th via Rock Shots Records. Right now I'm being joined by Shadi to share some more information about this EP, what the band has been up to, what they've got coming up down the pipeline. So, Shadi, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Great to have you on. Now, I guess we'll start simple. I mean, we have a track called Bad Enemy. Now, I mean, immediately I want to think, well, is there a good enemy?
Yeah, I remember the first time someone said that was about a month after the song was released, and I was like, oh, I never saw it that way. I think what it what it means is, there's degrees of negative, right? A bad enemy being a pretty harsh degree of that concept.
Okay, so now take us through that concept. Is it a concept that runs through the EP? Is it just something in this particular track? And what is that concept?
It stemmed from an altercation on tour with a fan at a show. And I don't know if she was a fan or not, but she was a fan up until she wasn't. And so we had a bit of an issue with her. This is later on during the evening festivities, and it just came. We were working on the song, and things had gone wrong, and we were leaving the situation we were in, and basically, put it this way, she got into a fight with one of our friends, and the friend said, well, thanks for doing that for me. You're a good friend. And I said, well, I'm not really a good friend. I'm just a bad enemy. And that's how the idea came to be for the chorus.
Wow. As you mentioned, I keep thinking, there is such thing as a bad friend and a good friend. And so I guess, there can be good enemies and bad enemies.
Well, I think there's bad enemies and then there's worse enemies, or there's less. I don't know, man. It's just it just kind of slip of the tongue, and it worked. And you know what, John? It makes sense to us, and that's kind of what matters.
Exactly, baby. Exactly. Now, something you mentioned was this fan, or used to be a fan. That's unfortunate. Maybe she's even more of a fan now. I don't know. People are weird.
If she remembers anything of the evening.
Well, the good news is you guys remember it, and lo and behold, there's a fan out there who has no idea that we're currently chatting about a track that is in dedication.
You got it. You nailed it, man.
All right, beautiful. So it sounded like you guys actually had the music in the works for this track, and then the incident happened, and then I guess you just felt this music screams this incident?
Yeah, along those lines. We sometimes when we write songs, actually usually the case, we usually write them in kind of one setting or one jam. So we'll go in there and it'll just explode. Or what we'll do is we'll get about half of the song done, and then we'll kind of get stuck. And then we'll come back to the other half and finish it. So this was one of those cases. We started to write the song right before that tour started, and we got stuck on the chorus. We didn't know what to do with the chorus. We had a couple ideas. Nothing was sticking. We really wanted something that was kind of lyrically, some sort of story there, right? Something like, it didn't have to be the most catchy or the most badass chorus. We just wanted a statement to be made there, and subconsciously, I think that we knew that's what we wanted. And then when we went on tour and those words kind of came out of my mouth, I just immediately was like, that's it. That's the chorus, Bad Enemy. Kind of like a Dewey Cox moment, if you will.
Beautiful. Well, now that I'm watching the music video, it makes significantly more sense, because the music video is not just like a bar band video. It actually is something that happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Now, I guess my question is, take us through this music video. Is it something that you guys had said, you know what, let's just reenact it, and there it is, because it looks, very well done, real crowd, et cetera, et cetera?
The girl in question, the one that the song's kind of inspired by, she was nowhere near as cool as the girl we have in the music video. But we were throwing around concepts. I can't remember who came up with it, but we were just throwing around ideas. I mean, when you think, Bad Enemy or whatever, you just think of a guy in a motorcycle that looks like the Terminator. So we just thought, why don't we just flip that script on its head and have a woman in that role, like a woman who's a man eater, a woman who kind of dominates and beats up guys at bars or beats up whoever. And we just loved the idea. And the actress we got, Summer, I loved it because she had like the face of an angel, but I wanted her to have kind of the inside of a devil. So I think we pulled it off. I think us and the director did a good job of capturing kind of that whole concept.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And immediately, for some strange reason, you mentioned something about a girl being a badass, and I thought of Cher, If I Could Turn Back Time, and she's on that Navy ship. I don't know why.
Yeah, exactly. Cher's one of our biggest inspirations, actually.
Very cool. Fantastic. Now, the track The Night was one of the other tracks you wanted to chat about, and I guess another cool story. What is The Night in question? Why did you guys want to chat about this song?
Well, it's been one of our favorite tunes for a while, and that music video was another one of our songs that we put a lot of work into the music video. That song, I mean, I have less to do lyrically with what's going on in that track, but as far as I know, Reed designed it to be kind of about how people, like when the sun sets, and then people just become variations of who they are, and it's a side that they sometimes regret, or they do things that it isn't in their character, basically. So it just kind of relevant to who we are, and we're out on the street, downtown and hanging out in clubs late at night, and you just see a side of people that you never thought you'd see.
Yeah. I mean, some of the creepiest lines in this song are with "My obsession, I'll be on to you." Jeez Louise. Stranger danger, Shaddy.
That's the first thing he came up with when we were jamming that song. I remember we hit into that chorus instrumentally, and Reed always improvises lyrics. So that's one of the coolest thing about working with him. Lots of singers don't do that. They need to sit with it and work with it and mull around. Reed can scat with the band. So a lot of the things we do, it's like we could just tell immediately if it feels right. And that was the first thing he did. And I'm pretty sure we all stopped and said, that's it. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah. Now, the blurb or the write-up on YouTube says that this is the EP's lead single, which is The Night. But it looked like the Bad Enemy had come out earlier. So I guess I'm just curious, what was it about The Night that, as an official release, made it like the key track to come out with first?
Well, what happened was we had released Bad Enemy independently, I think close to 2 years ago now. We had filmed it ourselves and did everything ourselves. It was all independent. And I'm pretty stubborn, and I refused to release the EP until we got a record deal or with the support of a record label. So we had these four songs, or 6 songs actually, technically. And then kind of just sitting there. No one knew what we sounded like unless you came to a show and bought a CD. We didn't have online, like pretty old school. And I don't know why we're so stubborn this way. But so we had this single out for a year, and I was looking for different management and different just so we can get the right promotion for these songs, so you're not releasing them to deaf ears. And the week before we decided to release it, we said, okay, screw it. Let's just release the EP and see what happens. Rock Shots reached out to us. So everything got pushed back. We actually went back into the studio and we reworked some of the songs for the Rock Shots release. We changed some things. And when we released it with Rock Shots, The Night was supposed to be the first video, but I suggested, I was like, well, why don't we just re-release Bad Enemy through you guys? We'll change up some of the vocals on the track, and we'll remaster it so it sounds a bit different. So that's why Bad Enemy ended up being released before The Night.
Cool. Now, something you mentioned. Sorry?
Was that your question? Was that the answer to your question?
That was the answer to my question, and it gave me so much fuel for more fodder for more fuel, or I don't know. Yeah. Because part of my interview style, people will ask, like, what are your questions? Like, I don't know. You haven't said anything yet. Say something. Now I have questions.
Right on.
Yeah. But one of the things you did that I actually kind of dig, which, I don't know, could be very stressful for a lot of situations, for a lot of bands, but a smart decision is to be stubborn about waiting to release material until you have the backing of, say, a record label or management. But I'm curious to hear more about that, because that sounds like quite the story to go through that for a couple of years and not have a mutiny on your hands. So how did that go? Did you end up finding a manager? How did you go about finding a manager? How were you just reaching out to record labels anyway? And then, they finally went through the big, gigantic stack of tapes and finally got to your tape. What's the story, Shaddy? Tell us the story.
I don't know how they go through bands nowadays, man. It's such a weird time to be in a rock band. Like, I was just watching. I assume you're an Ozzy Osbourne fan.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, sort of. Okay. Well, I was just watching a video of him live in 2008. That's 12 years ago. And I said, man, like 2008 was so much more rock and roll than 2020. Like even 2008, even just 12 years ago when it's not the 80s, it's not the 90s. There was just a vibe. There was an energy. Everyone knew who Ozzy Osbourne was, like the average person on the street knew who he was. Nowadays, like people don't, that's not on the forefront of kind of society's lobe. So I honestly don't know what the process is. It wasn't easy for us, and people were always asking us, "Where's your music available?" And we're like, "Well, just hard copy. You got to just buy a CD." And they didn't like that. They wanted to stream us. They're like, "My car doesn't even have a CD player." So
mine doesn't either.
I mean, for me, I can't speak on the rest of the guys. I'm kind of okay being a little more anonymous. I'm okay with being, not blasted all over social media and on YouTube and stuff like that. I'm relatively private when it comes to that kind of stuff. I understand it's kind of a dichotomy with what I do, but I'm kind of happy that rock and roll is more of an underground thing, and it's it means it's more about the music nowadays and less about kind of the lifestyle and a Halloween costume that you put on and off for the stage.
Yeah, you got to mention something about the lifestyle aspect of it, and I think that was. Like, I've had bands on who originally were pretty big in the 80s, like Europe, for example. I chatted with Europe when they had released some newer stuff, and the guy was basically saying, we used to ride around on private jets on record company money back in the 80s. He's like, that's not going to happen today to anybody.
Well, they ruined it for us, so thank you, Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Right? But yeah, that brings up a really good point, because how much of music is selling a lifestyle? How much of it really is just a magazine selling the Marlboro Man kind of thing?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't, I was born in '89, so I don't know where it kind of all went wrong and got so bloated. But it seems like there's always a genre in every decade that kind of becomes the flagship genre, and it just gets so diluted with phony artists and insane amounts of money that it loses all of its integrity. So yeah, I'm sure the guys in Drake and Ariana Grande, they're all flying around on private jets, but the Wild and the Lazies and the Glorious Sons I've seen their vans, I've seen the band. Yeah, and that's I think it's a mix of both. I think rock and roll needs to reinvent itself in a way, right? So it needs to, and I'm not saying we've done that on this EP. That EP to us is about 2 years old in terms of the material. We have about 15 new songs that's in the can waiting to be recorded. But I think a part of it is rock and roll does need to reinvent itself and give something new to an audience, whether it's from a music perspective or from delivering some sort of message. I think that's kind of what's been lost lately. Is you look at bands like one of my favorite bands is Royal Blood, modern bands, and to be honest, now that I think of it, I have no idea what they're singing about. I mean, I don't follow lyrics much. I'm a guitar player, but I think that's important. When you listen to bands like, Led Zeppelin or Guns N' Roses, Pearl Jam or Soundgarden. Their message was kind of beyond just, you know, selling a lifestyle. It was you know, it was something special. That's why it still lives on today.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not wrong, Shaddy. Lyrics are just spacing between guitar solos, and we all know that.
That's what my ears have told me since I was 13. So I'm glad you agree.
Beautiful. And so that's you with the Slash hat on and the Les Paul, and is that a Friedman Nameless? Or what is that?
You know your gear. So that is a Friedman small box.
Small box. Okay, beautiful.
My God, how did you even see that? I can't even see that. And I know it's in the video.
You're like, I put it there in the video. I didn't even know it was there. Well, that's cool. I mean, in today's era of a lot of bands coming on who are actually just using a Line 6 pedal, you know, instead of an amp, I guess it's kind of cool to talk with somebody who's actually building some gear that's real.
Yeah, I mean, are you a guitar player too?
I am a guitar player.
Awesome. So, I mean, you remember the days of lugging in 412s into the downstairs of a you know, slippery, sticky bar, right?
Uh-huh.
So, you know, I'm not 19 anymore. I definitely don't do that, but we always run real equipment. We actually we have a lighting rig. So we bring our own lighting rig. We have our own geysers. We have 4, you know, massive smoke machines. We bring our whole production to our gigs.
Well, that's good to hear. And I can see your guys' lighting in the music video here for the night because everything's on fire.
Yeah, that was the pyrotechnician of me.
Beautiful. Now, something you mentioned was you guys have some new material. So I'm curious, as a stepping stone or a stepping point from the EP, Sex, Love, and Chaos, are these the breadcrumbs of what we should expect to come, or what is the direction looking like for Vertigo?
You know, that's exactly it. We stumbled upon those 4 songs on SLC, and it was, you know, vindicative of the people we are, right? So those songs stuck with us because we write songs all the time, and if it's not, you know, if it's still not as good, you know, 2 months down the road as it was the first time we played it, then we get rid of it. So Chains and all those tunes, they still represent us, but there's no doubt we've reached whole new territory with our songwriting. We were actually supposed to record an EP right when COVID hit, so we had an EP studio time booked in, and then we had a tour to follow right after. So we were going to go record for 7 days and then go on a tour for 7 days, which would have been amazing because none of us have ever done that or had the luxury to kind of, you know, schedule things that way, where it was like the 1970s, you know? So that all got canceled during COVID. So we're in the interim. We just went back to the drawing board and are just working on the newer material, but there's so much stuff in the vault right now.
Cool. That was going to be one of my questions is, you know, obviously with a release happening about the summer-ish time, you guys probably had a world of plans that have had to change. And so what have you guys been up to during this time? And it sounds like, well, working on new material to be released hopefully sometime soon.
Yeah, you know, COVID's been a bummer for everyone, right? Like it's been, right. I mean, let's not even get into it. It's such a detailed kind of thing. For us, we were burnt out when COVID hit. Like we have been a band for 4 years. We've done over 400 gigs, and we've done some great gigs, and we've done some gigs that make you want to kill yourself. So we needed the time to just stop and you know, reevaluate how much we want this, how much we need this, and it was amazing because we all came back kind of stronger and more committed to being the best band.
Very cool. All right. Well, Shaddy, that concludes all of my questions, but if there's anything that you wanted to chat about that I missed, then please let me know. Otherwise, I wanted to thank you for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Hey, I want to thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure. The lead singer, Reed, wanted to let you know that we all have 9-inch tongues and blow smoke out of our ears.
Cool.
Yeah. Felt that was necessary, and I told him I'd pass on the message.
Thanks, Reed. All right, go ahead and stop, sweetie.